Time now, 19 minutes past 7.
People returning to the UK from coronavirus hotspots are going to have to quarantine in government-approved hotels for 10 days.
It's understood hotel owners will be asked to provide rooms for more than 1,000 people every day. So let's get some news on that from our correspondent Simon Jones, who's at Heathrow this morning. Simon, there's an awful lot of questions around this, isn't there? I mean, maybe you could talk us through, in theory, how this works. Plane lands at Heathrow. There are people on board. What happens next?
Well, there are a lot of hotels like this one surrounding Heathrow Airport, and it's thought a lot of these hotels are going to be block booked by the government for passengers arriving at airports like Heathrow who need to go into quarantine because they have been in coronavirus hotspots. This is how we believe it will happen. Passengers, once they've landed, will be escorted by security from the airport here to their hotel. They'll then be expected to spend the next 10 days largely in their hotel rooms. Now, if they need to go outside for maybe a bit of fresh air, they will be escorted by security once again, and that security will be provided by the government. Now, those security guards will also ensure that nobody who shouldn't will get access to those hotels. Now, this has been a long time coming because the idea was first put forward by the government towards the end of last month. It all then really went a little bit quiet. It was almost as if the idea of quarantining had been put into quarantine itself. But now we know it will come into force in 10 days' time. But critics say this is simply too little too late. The government says it has been talking to the government in Australia and New Zealand, where they've had systems in place like this for months. So now we know the date. It's expected around 1,000 people a day will need to go into hotels here in the UK, but the government suspects over time that number will reduce as people realise what's involved and the message gets through.
Thank you very much for that. So, Simon Jones at Heathrow, just talking through some of the mechanics of the system. Thank you, Simon.
Let's find out how this may work in practice. Meher Nawab is the chief executive of the London Hotel Group. Now, this already runs a hotel which accommodates people who are quarantining because of COVID. So, Meher Nawab, do you have experience of this? With this announcement, the confirmation came from the government yesterday evening, would your hotel be ready now or in the 10 days, a week on Monday, to be part of this scheme if asked?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. We have been asked yesterday afternoon. An RFP came out from the government's booking agency regarding this quarantine program. And as you've rightly said, we did open the first COVID isolation hotel in the country back in January. Now, it took approximately 9 months of research and preparation to do. We did write to the government last week with a step plan, and we're quite privileged that they did take some of those points on board to roll out this program.
Okay, so what would it look like when if and when it opens, one of your hotels is used a week on Monday?
So the way we're treating it, when a customer checks in, whether they're COVID negative or positive, they have to be treated in the same way, because the symptoms, as we all know, can develop over 3 to 5 days. So we wouldn't be in our set procedures, which the virologists have set. We're not allowed to let the customers leave the room. They're completely self-isolating in the room. They're provided 3 meals a day. Linen is provided for them. Outside the room, dirty linen is replaced by the customers themselves. There's a lot of training to go into this, a lot of health protocols to go into this as well. And naturally, the insurance has to be approved. So the government, sorry to
interrupt. So I just want to pick up on one thing. So the understanding we have is, at the moment, the government would provide security guards to allow people to leave their rooms. You're saying if it was at your hotel, one of your hotels, that wouldn't be possible?
That is correct. And our virologist.
Yet you have been asked by the government to be one of the hotels involved in this. Is that correct?
We haven't been asked to directly participate. We've been asked to submit a price for the programme.
OK, and how much does it cost? Because obviously there are contracts up for grabs now, and the numbers may reduce in time as fewer people travel. But how much would that generate in terms of hotel revenue, considering, of course, so many are closed now?
On the terms of cost, it's all going to depend where the hotel is located. It can be anything from £50 to £150, because you're not just providing the accommodation, you're providing 3 meals a day. You've got to provide very strict hygiene protocols. We have spent a lot of money on ventilation, on air virus killing ventilation throughout the hotels. So it's not just the bedrooms that have it, the corridors have it, and the public areas have it as well. And that is something the government haven't asked for when they're rolling out their new programme.
So that would be £50 to £150 per person. Now, you said it took 9 months of planning, logistical planning, in order to be in position in January for the hotel you currently have to be a COVID hotel, or to have people who are quarantining, isolating. Say you were asked, we're just looking at the timeline now, I think it was in January, 26th, 27th of January, it was first said that this was going to happen. If you had been asked then, right, we need a hotel, can you open today? Would you have been able to do it?
If I'm just following their guidelines and not doing the research I've done, yes, I could open it. But if you want to do something properly, the amount of due diligence and protocol that has to go into place, it takes a long time.
So you think this 10-day wait, a week on Monday, is reasonable and necessary in order to have this scheme up and running now?
Personally, I don't think that's enough time. However, the government's given guidelines that they want prices in by this evening, and they want the hotels open by the 15th of February.
Why is there not enough time? What is the problem?
To set all the processes up, you need virologists to come and visit the property. You need to set up hygiene protocols. All of that can just not be done overnight. The ventilation system has to be looked at very closely. You cannot have cross-contamination from a central air conditioning plant. Traditional hotels in London will have a central air conditioning plant, and the air can cross-contaminate from room to room. We have not got that. Each room is individually, fresh air and dirty air is taken out.
I just want to be clear. Would anyone who would be isolating in one of your hotels, would they be safe? Would the conditions of containing the virus, if they had one, which is the whole point of this, would those conditions be able to be met if this was done, in your opinion, a week on Monday, if this began a week on Monday?
We have a 100% track record since January, early January, with no cross-contamination between guests and staff, or staff and staff. I'm not sure if what they have set out can be done in this time.
I'm really going to push. I really would like to know, because we're going to talk to the Minister very, very soon about this. What do you think? What is the sticking point? What hasn't been considered?
There's been no open dialogue with the hospitality sector and the government. It's, as I said yesterday, I set a step plan out to them last week, and yesterday afternoon a document's come out, and they're expecting people to fill that document in and submit it and get these hotels open by 15th of February.
Will staff and travellers be safe on the 15th of February, in your opinion, if they're quarantining in a hotel?
They will be in our hotel.
Meher Nawab, very interesting talking to you this morning. Thank you very much. Meher Nawab is the London Hotel Group's Chief Executive.
Yes, and we're speaking to James Cleverly in a few minutes' time, actually. Would you pick up on some of the more detail on those plans? Right now, though, time to get the news, the travel and the weather where you are.